Life is always getting more expensive. We've heard it from our grandparents, we've heard it from our parents. However, in the past couple of years, prices have surged in levels above average. In this video, we will talk about all the fixed costs that you should consider when living in Germany, and we will also reveal our personal cost of living so you can have an idea on how much money you would need.
Now, please bear in mind that all of the costs that we talk about are based on an employee situation. So if you're self-employed, freelancing, or not working, you should consider having more money available for paying for your health insurance and other insurances, such as your own pension investments on the side. We will also not cover any childcare related costs because those highly vary on where you live in Germany, how old your child is, etc. So also add that on top, whatever your situation is.
Now let's start with rent, which tends to be the biggest expense of anyone's salary.
Correct, yes, or living expense per se.
Living expense.
We will refer a lot to the consumer price index from the government in this video, which we will also link in the description below. And the latest numbers here are from 2021, because it always takes a little bit, to update statistical numbers. And here it states that 37% of all the consumer spending of Germans or people living in Germany went to housing and energy. So meaning like rent and electricity and gas costs in that sense. Now, we said previously in our other cost of living video that is a little bit outdated, that you should consider around 30 to 40% of your net salary to be spent on rent.
The rental prices we will reveal in a little bit. We pulled them from Numbeo. We think this is a more trustworthy site because people are actually entering their rental prices manually, so people living in Germany, versus just taking a median price for all over Germany.
Median prices, as we have learned a couple of years ago, are usually a little bit below the actual reality. So the numbers we are now presenting from Numbeo are really a lot more realistic when it comes to rent.
Now let's start with the one-bedroom apartment. Now a disclaimer, a one-bedroom apartment on the platform Numbeo actually refers to a two-room apartment in Germany, meaning a living room plus one bedroom. Now let's reveal the average prices. Here's a table with the 6 cities that we usually talk about. These are Munich, Berlin, Frankfurt, Stuttgart, Hamburg, and Düsseldorf.
Numbeo and us as well, we are showing here the prices for a city center apartment as well as an apartment outside the city center. Doesn't mean you're in Havana, you're just not in the hottest part of town. And we ordered this table by the prices from the outside of the city center apartment. And just like before, and kind of like a current theme, is that Munich is by far the most expensive city to live in, especially when we look at rental prices. The surprise, though, is that Berlin, it's not really a surprise, it's more like a surprise on paper. Berlin is the runner-up. And Berlin has been notoriously known not only for being super expensive in rental prices and increasing year by year, but also in being super hard to even find a place.
What's also kind of interesting is that Düsseldorf, according to this data, is actually in the cheaper side, air quotes, of this table.
A big air quotes, because all of these 6 cities are among the top 10 most expensive cities to live in Germany. So they're definitely on the most expensive side if you take all of Germany. Why do we always talk about these 6 cities? Because as far as we know, these are the most popular 6 cities amongst internationals in Germany. However, to give you a clear picture and a better understanding, we also picked 4 random cities in all the hemispheres within Germany that are not among the top 10 most expensive. They're still quite popular. They're still big enough cities, and they show very different rental prices. As you can see, they drop below the 600 euro per month mark for an apartment, a 2-room apartment outside the city center, and are a lot more affordable.
Yes, here being Bonn actually the most expensive one out of the bunch, and Leipzig being the cheapest one. Now, of course, it's the rule as in any part of the world. If you live outside of cities, of course, rent will be a lot cheaper than if you live within a city.
Now, the next table shows you, as per Numbeo, a 3-bedroom apartment. Again, you have to add 1 room to the German standard, so this would be a 4-room apartment in Germany, meaning 3 bedrooms and 1 living room, which is a rather big type of apartment, especially within cities. We have done 2 extensive videos on apartment sizes in Germany, as well as filters you can set to kind of navigate the most availability of apartments. We will both link them in the description below. And there we also show that the most common, so the type that is most available in Germany, are 2- and 3-room apartments. So the 4-room apartment we are showing now is rather on the scarce side. And you can tell so also by the quite high price.
Again, we ordered this table by the highest price first outside of the city center and then going lower from that. As we can see, still the most expensive city is Munich, also followed by Berlin, which is no surprise there. But also what's interesting is that in this particular case, Stuttgart is actually the cheaper out of the six cities that we're showing, which again, these 6 cities are on the top 10 most expensive cities in Germany.
Now that we look at our 4 cheaper cities, let's say, there's actually a big surprise. So first of all, we can see that Hanover, Nuremberg and Leipzig are below 1,000 euros for a 4-room apartment in Germany, which is amazing. However, Bonn is super expensive, in the same level or even more expensive than the top 6 cities that we usually mention. And that just leads us to conclude that Bonn has less availability for 4-room apartments, hence the price goes up.
Another important thing to point out here is that if you're coming from the US, the majority of cities, I think Manhattan is the exception here, however, you will need to probably downsize when you move to Europe because apartments here tend to be smaller. And if you come from countries like Japan, more specifically Tokyo, then it might be a luxury for you because you might feel that there's actually more space here than the apartment that you live back home.
Let's stick to the housing part and go to electricity, which is usually not included in your rental price in the utilities. And electricity is one of the things that was a lot in the media, and the prices increased and it's generally expensive. So let's give you some numbers. Now, all the numbers are usually based on March 2023, and the average price per kilowatt hour of electricity in March 2023 was 43 cents. Now, to run some average numbers, the usual consumption for a 1-person household is around 1,500 kilowatt hours per year. For 2 people, 2,500 kilowatt hours per year, and for 3 people, around 3,500 kilowatt hours per year, and it goes on and on like that. Now, these are average numbers, mind you, just to give you a little bit of a feeling for prices. If we calculate that real quick, that would mean you pay as a single person around 54 euros for electricity per month, as a 2-person household 90 euros, and as a 3-person household 125 euros per month. Now, for us, for example, we currently pay 69 euros per month, so we are below the average for a 2-person household. We also consume less than 2,500 kilowatt hours per year.
And again, a big disclaimer, I think it goes without saying, but still let's mention it, is that also you could be a 1-person but use a lot of electronics in your house and you can still surpass the average, of course, so you will obviously pay more money. If you're curious on how you pay for electricity in Germany and how to choose the best provider for you, we have a whole video detailing the process that you can find in the description box below. Now let's talk about telecommunications. Let's first start with the thing we cannot live without, and that is the internet. According to the average numbers, a German pays on average 31 euros a month for internet.
In the house.
The house.
So not a German, but like a household.
Yeah, a household. We pay 40 euros a month, and that is because we have the amazing speed of 1000 megabits. This is the maximum speed that we could actually hire in where we live. And mind you, in Germany, you cannot always get the fastest speed available. We have a whole video again talking about how to choose your internet provider, which we will also link in the description box below.
And the 40 euros for the 1000 speed on cable, which we have from Vodafone, is actually a very good price. Now, when it comes to phones, so mobile phoning in Germany, texting and mobile data, the average price for Germans is actually only 16 euro per month. Now, Jen still has her age-old contract, it's like 10 years old with Vodafone as well. And you had a very big, good deal back in the day for 21 euros and 13 gigabytes.
Yes.
And you also had this Gigacombi deal with our local, like home internet. So that is something we hold on to dearly.
Yes, and mind you, this is not like the standard. What usually happens in Germany is that if you have older contracts and you want to quit, they usually persuade you with really good deals to keep you on board. And that's kind of what happened to me. So after 10 years, I think I have a pretty good deal.
I, on the other hand, have a post-paid flexible contract with Simon Mobile where I get 10 gigabytes per month for only €8.99, an even better deal.
Wow, I would say maybe I should change to Simon Mobile.
We want to hang on to your
to the Gigacombi.
Gigacombi.
Yes, that's the reason why we hang out. Wow, that's a really good deal. Yeah, now that I think about it, yeah.
And to still stay in the housing topic, there's one cost that you have no influence on, but you need to pay, and that is the TV or radio tax, the Rundfunkbeitrag, which you usually pay per quarter, and it's 55 euro and 3 cents. So if we break that down per month, it's 18 euro and 36 cents.
Now I have to give a big here correction. It is not a TV tax. It is a broadcasting licensing fee that everyone needs to pay in Germany.
Every household.
Every household. Big controversy around it. We have a whole video talking about that too, which you can find in the description box below. Now, leaving the household and talking a little bit about personal care, we'll talk about haircuts. So I have short hair and I don't actually cut it monthly, but let's pretend I cut it monthly. And if it would be the case, I would pay a range between 35 to 45 euros a month. Why do I give a range? Because it depends on the hair salon that you go to. In the previous house where we were living in the neighborhood, I would pay around 45 euros. It became quite expensive. And that's really just for cutting it, not even drying it. It's like this cut and go that they call it. Versus now in the new neighborhood that we live in, it's 35 euros, which I think it's a pretty good deal. Now, I have friends who are male friends, and they usually take care of their hair once a month or so. And they estimate also, I've asked my friends, and that's the survey that I've done, that they pay around 20 euros, 25 euros for a cheaper haircut if you want to go to a cheaper salon.
Right, and if you have longer hair or you want to have other treatments done like coloring, of course that price will go up quite intensively, especially if color is involved. I usually only cut my tips and it's also in the 40 euro range.
If you're finding the content of this video cool, then make sure to hit that like button. And if you always want to get notified about more information on how you can settle into life in Germany more smoothly, then make sure to hit that subscribe button.
And if you'd like to go the extra mile and support us more, you can do so in the shape of a virtual coffee at simplegermany.com/coffee. Thank you for your support. So let's go to the supermarket and groceries, which tends to be the second most expensive living expense that German households have. And if we again look at the consumer price index from the government in 2021, the average spending per household on groceries was 402 euros. Now let's break this down a little bit. So if you are a single household, the average spending was 234 euro, a two-person household 453 euro, and so on. You see the numbers on the screen. Meaning, of course, you don't need to double the amount of cost when you are more people, because of course there are more synergies in food consumption. However, since these numbers are from 2021 and food, especially groceries, are amongst the highest increased products in the last 2 years, these numbers are no longer accurate. If again we look at the consumer price index in Germany and the increase in food costs in March 2023 compared to the year before, it has a 22.3% increase. That is a lot. This is of course still not going to be 100% accurate because the 22.3% are based on March 2022 and not 2021, but just for you to get an idea and paint a picture of what seems to be the current norm, we calculated or we added 22.3% to all of the numbers we just mentioned. And that means that currently, based on March 2023, the costs for grocery shopping per numbers of household are 286 euros per one person, 554 euros for two person, 707 euro for three, and so on. I'm not going to bombard you with numbers, but the average went up to 492 euros per household on groceries. And I actually really tracked all of our expenses in March this year, and I can conclude that Jen and I, who eat almost every single meal at home, meaning breakfast, lunch and dinner, plus a shake in the afternoon, we spend around 600 euros nowadays for food per month. So we are a little bit above average, but also for transparency, we do consume fish and meat, and we only buy organic products in that area, which are a lot more expensive than, let's say, the regular, not organic products in that area.
Now for the transportation. Now, interestingly enough, this is the one area where prices actually decreased in 2023, and that is if you're using public transportation. We're not talking about the price of gas or petrol or gasoline or however you call it. Anyway, so for public transportation, a monthly ticket currently costs 49 euros a month, which is the famous Deutschland ticket, which allows you to travel everywhere in Germany with local transportation. We have a whole video about that too, which we link in the description box below if you want to know more details about that. Now, if you don't take the public transportation, you can of course take a bike, and that you can purchase, and that's a one-time purchase that you can do. You can also lease a bike, and that highly depends on the type of bike and how fancy it is, e-bike versus not. We're not going to talk about that specifically. We're going to skip that, but just know that the options are there. Now, if you do have a car, you can expect to spend around 200 to 400 euros a month on average, and that highly depends on the type of car you have, how much you consume, how much you drive with it, and the size of it, of course. We also have a car, and we spend on average 250 euros a month, and this includes the price for gasoline, insurance, taxes, and maintenance.
Now, even though we like to cook our own meals, we also like to go out every once in a while. And one of our favorite places here in Düsseldorf is a specific burger joint, which we frequent not very often, but if we do so, then we usually go there. And this is a very good example because in our last video on cost of living, we had the exact same restaurant with the exact same food. So these numbers really give you an apple-to-apple comparison.
Wait, a burger-to-burger comparison.
So let's look at the numbers individually. Now, we still usually have a beer, nowadays more non-alcoholic than before, and the price here went up to 4 euros. We still have our favorite barbecue bacon burger, and now the price is 12 euro and 90 cents. And we also still have a fries, sweet potato fries on the side. And here the price went up to 5.90 euro. Now, if we add those together, that is a total price for a meal for 2 adults of 45.60 euro. And these prices are again based on March this year. Now, if we compare that to our prices we mentioned in 2021, the total price was 32.80 cents. And that is an increase of 39%.
Wow.
That is crazy, and that really shows how life has become more expensive. Now, mind you, this is, of course, based on Germany, but I'm pretty sure this has also increased in other areas of the world. And it's 4 things that come together. Like we said before, food, groceries are more expensive. Gas, electricity has increased as well, so production is more expensive. We've also increased the wages for people, for workers, because the minimum salary has increased. And of course, we have a way higher inflation. So if we take all of those 4 together, if you dine out, this is the maximum that you can experience.
Yes, well, not the maximum. Of course, you can
the
pay more
maximum
money.
Increase.
Yeah. But I would say here it's very obvious that actually going out to eat now has become a lot more expensive than anything else in Germany, at least in our experience.
Correct.
In the past, we've always been proud that in Germany it's relatively inexpensive to go out and eat.
It still is. If you compare it to other countries, it just has increased.
Yeah, and now it's very shocking when you go to a restaurant, you're like, whoa, this is how much again? Yeah, I don't know, it's interesting actually. Now let's talk about going to the movies. What is interesting here is that the prices there so far have remained the same, which is kind of strange and scary at the same time.
It's not scary.
I don't want them to get more expensive. To give you an example, if you go to a 2D movie, that means no 3D shenanigans. So that one, the ticket currently, at least in Düsseldorf, is 12.50 euros in one of these CineStar movie theaters, which is a chain. So you can expect maybe the same price in other cities. And if you want a small popcorn, that is 4.50 euros around about. So times 2, if we each have our own popcorn, that's 9 euros. So 2 tickets, 2 popcorns, that would amount to around 34 euros, which I think is still pretty affordable.
Ooh. Now, if you live in Germany, you can't live here without certain insurances. Now, we have a whole video on which ones are a must-have and which ones are a nice-to-have, which we'll also link below. But we'll just talk about the 4 that we have. Now, of course, we start with the famous private liability insurance, which you should really go and check out. And there we pay for the both of us 11 euros a month. We also have legal insurance, which is 32 euros a month for the both of us, home contents, which is 23 euros a month, and we also have income protection insurance, which is a very German insurance. However, lately our international insurance partners of Feather and GetSafe have included such insurance also for internationals in English, which is why we want to include it and mention it. It's something quite important. If you want to check it out, we link our guide in the description below. And this is a rather more expensive insurance where both of us pay together 150 euros.
So that means that in total, for insurances, we pay around 216 euros a month for the both of us. Now for the big reveal of our total costs. So let's jump into the table. Let's start with the rent plus the Nebenkosten, meaning the utilities, and that is 1,431 euros.
Of course, we pay the Rundfunkbeitrag, which we have rounded all the numbers here, so that is 18 euros.
Electricity, 69 euros.
Home internet, 40.
Jen's phone contract, so that's my phone contract, 21 euros.
My postpaid flexible contract, which is 9 euros.
Haircut, 35 euros.
Supermarket, 600 euros.
Car, 250 euros.
A dinner at a burger place with tip is 50 euros.
Movie once a month, 34 euros.
Private liability insurance, 11 euros.
Legal insurance, 32 euros.
Home contents insurance, 23 euros.
Income protection insurance, 150 euros.
Which leads to a total of 2,788 euros for the both of us. And this is considered a rather good standard of living.
Now, to give you an example based on all the average prices that we talked about this video, we will also present you a table for 2 adults where we're basing all the prices again on the averages that we talk about. Also, these 2 adults don't have a car, but they use public transportation. More specifically, they have the Deutschland ticket, which is the 49 euros a month ticket, and they don't have any income protection insurance yet. So let's jump into the table. Let's start with the rent, which we took from Numbeo, and this is for a 3-bedroom apartment, which is equivalent to a 4-room apartment in Germany, meaning 1 living room and 3 bedrooms. And this number we took for Düsseldorf outside the city center, and that is 1,396 euros.
The Rundfunkbeitrag remains the same for everyone, and that is rounded 18 euros.
Electricity, 90 euros.
Home internet, 31.
Phone contract, 32 euros.
A haircut for the person with the shortest hair is 40 euros.
Supermarket, 554 euros.
The monthly pass for public transportation with the Deutschland ticket for both is 98 euros.
Dinner at a burger place, still a favorite burger place with the tip, is 50 euros.
And a movie once a month is 34 euros.
Private liability insurance, 10 euros.
Legal on average, 32.
Home contents insurance, 18 euros.
And that leads to a grand total of 2,403 euros on average for a couple living in Germany.
Now, if we break this down, again, the same average numbers, but for one single person living in Germany, these are the numbers. Let's start with the rent. In a 2-room apartment, again, this is a living room with 1 bedroom in Düsseldorf outside the city center, and this is 761 euros.
The Rundfunkbeitrag still is the same with rounded 18 euros.
Electricity, 54 euros.
Home internet, 31.
Phone contract, 16 euros.
A haircut, 40 euros.
Supermarket, 286 euros.
The monthly pass with the Deutschland ticket is 49 euros.
Dinner at a burger place, also with a tip, 25 euros.
A movie once a month is 17 euros.
Private liability insurance, 5 euros.
Legal is 25, you cannot cut this in half.
Home contents, 10 euros.
And that leads to a grand total of 1,337 euros average cost of living for a single person living in Germany. Mind you, this is in their own apartment. So we can still reduce that number if, let's say, you want to live in a shared apartment in a WG or choose a 1-room studio of that like.
Did you know we have templates on our website that can help you settle into life in Germany
more smoothly? You can check them out at simplegermany.com/templates.
Now, continuing with the video.
So you can expect an average cost of living within Germany anything between 1,000 and 3,000 euros. As always, these numbers are just supposed to give you a feeling and a baseline for you can start and do your own research, as it always highly depends on your lifestyle, the city that you live in. As we have seen, this is especially important when it comes to rent, the most costly living expense. And of course, also highly dependent on how many people you're living with, meaning if you're a family, a couple, or a single person.
The examples we have provided, in our opinion, they represent a good quality of life in Germany. That means this is actually living pretty well in Germany. And of course, you need to differentiate between your gross and net salary. That is because the money that you see on the contract that you will get a month does not mean that's the money you will get in your bank account. In Germany, you have your gross salary, and then all the taxes and social contributions get deducted automatically. You don't see that money. And the money that you receive in your bank account is the net amount.
Now that you have a little bit of an understanding what kind of net money you will need, plus maybe a bit of a buffer for other lifestyle choices, you can reverse engineer to the gross salary you would like to get. In order to do so and also to get a better feeling of salaries in Germany, you can watch the video on the left about what is considered a good salary in Germany.
Until next time, cheers! According to Numbeo, this is... Okay.
Come on.
Come on!
Who eat almost every single meal at home, meaning breakfast, lunch and dinner, plus a